Okay, this is very bad. The Malaysia custom is holding my blaster.
Today we got the Protean, not this Protean Blaster designed by Flywheel and printed by Frontline Foam. Hello, what is up guys? I'm your host Gordon and welcome to another one of my video. And what I got over here is the Protean Blaster, or we call it the Protean. And this blaster over here is sent over here in Malaysia by Frontline Foam. And this time seriously, I did not expect that I actually encounter a little bit of hiccups by importing this blaster back to Malaysia. A little bit something like this. Okay, just got a little bit of hiccup this time. Right now, I'm heading to the custom office to clear my stuff. Yep, this is the location where I have to collect my stuff. Alright, finally got the blaster back. Apparently, there is a little bit of a documentation issue that needs to be cleared up. Holy moly, what a day. Okay, apparently in the shipping documents, the word Nerf itself is actually the main culprits that actually triggered the entire event. So basically, that's the whole story. In the end, we still managed to get this blaster back over here for today's review. This blaster over here can be a very innocent blaster that can be used in most super stock game, which is capped at 150 FPS, all the way to 300 FPS. Holy moly. And of course, we're gonna check it out. Will this flywheel blaster, yes, it's a flywheel blaster, hit the 300 FPS mark? Okay, first look at the blaster. As you can see, the overall aesthetic of the blaster is of course the same color as the Caliburn C4 that Frontline Foam sent me back then, which is the purple and green, of course with the orange muzzle over here and the red trigger. Seriously, the entire printing finishing of this blaster over here is very high quality, very nice, and I would say very robust. Basically, these colors can be customized on Frontline Foam website, and not only that, you can actually choose the performance that you desire from as low as 100 FPS all the way to a dual stage high performance 300 FPS. And of course, for today's video, I'm gonna pick the 300 by the way, because I know what you guys thinking, the higher the better, right? And also Frontline Foam is also kind enough to send me another module over here which is rated at 200 FPS over here. It seems to be a Kraken motor, in order to show you guys how easy that you can actually swap these modules on the fly, depends on the game modes that you're in. And of course, I can show the boys during the game. Overall, the entire aesthetic of the blaster is more of an SMG look. As you can see, the size is actually very small and very compact. It doesn't really have a whole lot of barrel length. In fact, it doesn't really have a barrel over here. What you can see over here, it is a built-in, I would say a removable B car over here. You just have to twist it, pull it, and swap another B car in there. Depends on what kind of performance you use. I'm not too sure how well that this mechanism is going to hold this B car over here, but anyhow, we're gonna test it on the game and see how it goes. What we got over here is the 6-degree B car as well as the 7-degree B car. If you guys ask me why would I ended up choosing a 6-degree and a 7-degree over here, because if you guys go and watch Bradley Phillips' video, which he tested it with various degrees of B cars, with this kind of high performance blaster, the 6-degree is probably the best that you can get. And of course, the 7-degree is for the 200 FPS setup. If we actually take a look at the shape from the top of the blaster over here, there is a giant bulging point at the front of the blaster. This is actually the module itself where the motors are being placed on. It might look a little weird and might be uncomfortable to hold, but trust me guys, when you actually hold the blaster just like so, take a look at this, hold the blaster just like so, this bulging point over here is enough for me to rest my thumb on it comfortably as I'm firing the blaster. Yeah! Ooh, that sound though. It sounds like this blaster really wanna go, eh? And the motor is actually pretty loud, by the way. The grip of the blaster over here is slightly bigger than any AR grips. The revving trigger is at the bottom over here. Really like the sensation of the revving trigger because it felt really snappy. The trigger pull is very nice. This is not a full automatic blaster. This is basically a manual pusher, which of course I like. The reliability is there. And the buttstock of this blaster is definitely one of my favorite part of this blaster so far. Basically, these are adjustable buttstock. It's more on the PDW or more like a ARP9 style buttstock over here, shouldering the blaster. Very comfortable. As you can see, there is no rubber pad behind there, but there is enough friction for you to, actually shoulder it and not moving it around, which is very nice. And these over here are some really thick metal. Basically, you just press this button over here to adjust the buttstock. After fully extending the buttstock, is going to be this long. I mean, this is very comfortable to hold. Just that you don't really have any space for you to, rest your cheek or something like that. But usually with this kind of blaster, I would personally prefer to rest my cheek over here for a more, compact stance. And Frontline Foam actually did a very good job with that. They're actually sanded up this part of here, which is very smooth right now, so that resting your cheek over here is gonna be pretty comfortable. In terms of Picatinny rails, we only got a roll of Picatinny rails on top of the blaster, enough for your reflex sight of choice, and of course another roll of Picatinny rail at the bottom of here. So basically the setup that I go over here is a tiny little grip over here, so that I leave enough Picatinny rail at the front for my flashlight of choice in case I would want to go into a dark CQB game. And the battery compartment is located at the back of here. I really like the thumb screw style over here for you to remove the battery compartment. The space is quite big for you to put in a pretty sizable battery, and it uses a XT60 connector for big power. The main highlight of this blaster over here is its modularity. The whole blaster is being put together with pins like the buttstock, the front part. As for the motor modules over here, I'm going to show you guys how fast that you can actually swap it out. First, you might want to remove the B-car. Basically, you would just have to push out a few of these pins just like so. The motors are being held together by these banana pins. Just pull it out with ease, no problem. Push out the pin that is holding the module just like so, very easy. And next, you would just pull it out just like so. And next, you would just simply drop in a new module over here. Just connect those banana pins just like so, no problems. Push in the pin for the module, just put in the cover just like so, and simply just put in these 3 pins just like so. Very easy, very simple, and no tools required. As simple as that. Just by having a set of additional module over here, there is plenty of option that I can opt with, depends on the game. If I need a 300 FPS blaster, I just drop in the 300 FPS module. If I wanted 200 FPS, I would just drop in a 200 FPS module. If I want something 150 FPS and below, I'll just use the 200 FPS module and just drop the voltage by using a 2S 7.4 volt LiPo. And the magazine setup over here, you can put in any like worker style magazine with no issue at all. And the holding system is more of a semi-friction fitting over here. As you can see, the mag release lever over here is not spring loaded. Basically, you just have to like push it in just like so and just pull it out just like so. As easy as that. And you want to put it in, you just go something like that. And even though there is no spring mechanism on the mag release over here, it will just hold it pretty well. No problem, no dropping or whatsoever. Just that you can't really do the gravity drop for the tactical purpose. Really like this hole over here for you to peek in and see how many darts left. There are sling mounting point at the side of the blaster over here, but since these are just 3D printed parts, I personally wouldn't want to use it. Because first, this blaster is not too heavy. I don't mind holding this blaster for a prolonged period of time. Not to mention that it is pretty comfortable to hold. Looking around the blaster, this blaster does not come with any safety switch. Basically, these hands and finger are your very own safety switch. So I guess without further ado, let us go test the blaster out, shall we? Okay, we are back, guys. So the performance of the blaster is actually pretty good, and in the same time, I do encounter a little bit of weirdness. But first, let us talk about the 200 FPS module first. By downvoting it to a 7.4 volt battery, this blaster can go from 137 FPS all the way to 134 FPS very consistently, especially if you are in one of those super stock games. If you bump it to a 3S 11.1 volt LiPo, it can grow from 188 FPS all the way to 191 FPS, which is basically what this module claimed, around 200 FPS. The accuracy of this blaster is legendary. I've never tried a flywheel blaster that can go this straight, hitting a target wherever I point, which kind of shows that these B-car works. And thank God so far this thing didn't fall off. So this mechanism works. As for the 300 FPS module, by the way, I'm not sure what happened to my test because it only me goes from 199 FPS all the way to 203 FPS. Yes, it is indeed slightly faster than the 200 FPS module, but in my test it did not achieve 300 FPS, despite using a brand new 11.1 volt 3S LiPo. At first I kinda thought that it might be a battery problem, but after checking all 3 cell works, I'm kinda lost for words a little bit. But don't worry guys, I will do a follow-up video as soon as I found the problem. But again, of course, hitting a target in 10 meters in my test is absolutely no problem at all. In fact, it basically obliterates my target. Again, I would like to stress out that this blaster is super accurate. And of course, will this blaster passes the wall test? I mean, take a look at that. Of course it passes the wall test. I mean, the entire aesthetic of the blaster basically looks very sci-fi, very tactical. I mean, the whole thing just match up pretty well, especially Frontline Foam sent me a Caliburn C4 with the matching color. Operating this blaster so far, I did not encounter any jams, which is a good thing. Just that personally, I'm not a big fan of this mag release lever over here because it does not come with a retractable spring so that I can push it in securely, because sometime in the heat of battle, you might accidentally bump your finger over here, which causes your mag to drop. It kind of depends on the mag though. If you were using something like a Unicorn magazine, it just drops very easily. If you are using Talon or Worker Mats, it will have a little bit of friction to hold this. So basically a tiny spring will fix this problem. So yep, that's all today guys. If you guys like this video, feel free to smash on the like button. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button because I'll be doing a follow-up video of this blaster. And of course, I'm going to see you guys in the next video. Adios guys!